URC Power Rankings, folks. I'm sitting here on the floor, currently on holiday, back home in NZ in a couple of weeks, and been trying to keep up with the URC. I'm going to say it's been kind of harder to find broadcast of the URC where I am at the moment, so I'm essentially living largely off highlights, but the calculations process for the Power Rankings still gone ahead as normal. We'll go through them and you guys can let us know your thoughts. How the teams are looking with just one regular round to go. 16 has to be Zebre. They are still winless, and boy did they get a hiding against the Bulls. 78 points to 12. As far as I'm aware, that is the biggest walloping any side has ever copped in the URC. So, yeah. They did score a try in 11 minutes to make it 12-5, which was about the highlight of the game. I mean, it's a young side, this Zebre side, and they, earlier on in the year, genuinely played a few kind of decent games, but man, they've copped a few hidings. So, fingers crossed, this will all build nicely for at least a slightly better 2023-2024 season, but yeah. 15 is still the old Dragons. They went to Ulster, and they also copped a bit of a walloping, so their record is 3-14. So slightly better than the Zebre boys, 3 wins better. I mean, Tame Basham's line-breaking offload, that was pretty sweet. They did kind of attempt to mount a weak comeback, but 15th spot for them, which is the same as the week before. 14th is still Edinburgh, but Edinburgh, for a change, actually managed to get a win, believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen. And 45-21. Like a big old scoreline, and some of the guys who are some of their big name players did really well. I mean, Velikot got an early try, Cherry got one, Boffelli got a long range one, Darcy Graham back in the side got a couple of late ones. So yeah, man, 45-21, their kind of losing run has been ended. So 6-11 is still a bit of a forgettable season, but yeah, still nice to have a win. All those 3 teams are the same. Now, 13th is the Ospreys. With that loss we just talked about to Edinburgh, that's seen them drop 3 spots on the Power Rankings. I mean, you're 35-7 down. They did it, like, they did make a decent run at trying to chase a 4-try bonus point, but they didn't get it. But yeah, sadly for them, their record is 5-10-2, just being 2 draws. A weird one where, like, the Ospreys one week will look genuinely pretty good, and then the next week they'll lose to a lowly Edinburgh side. I say lowly, like Edinburgh for a while had like their home ground as an absolute fortress, but it's not been so much this year. But yeah, what can I say? Ospreys, they lost. 12th spot is another one of the kind of losing sides this week in Benetton, down 1 spot. They lost to the Sharks. It was always going to be a tough one to go to South Africa and get a result, but they made a good start, man. 14-0 early lead. I mean, Rhino Smith's been putting on some absolute magic all year, and he continued that vein of form, but sadly for them, they conceded 10 more points than the Sharks, which tends to not end well in terms of rugby results. So yeah, 43-33 loss for the Benetton boys. 8-9 is their record, so it's been, you know, decent enough, especially when the Six Nations hits their squad particularly hard, being only 2 Italian teams. Cardiff I've got in 11th. Cardiff is another one of the sides who went away and couldn't get a result. They lost 38-19 to Connacht. They gave themselves a 19-0 deficit to kind of chase, which was tough, and kind of like the Ospreys, 3 tries was not enough for them to chase down a try bonus point. So yeah, nothing much gained out of that penultimate game for them. The Bulls, goodness gracious me, the Bulls have been on an awful run. Like, their overall record is fine, 9-8, but their recent form in the URC has been just atrocious. So good for them to get a win. I got them up 3 spots. Like, I can't give them too much credit for a win over Zebre, because Zebre is where Zebre is at, but 78-12 is honestly magic. Like, nobody else has done that to Zebre. Moody got one within 2 minutes. Papier got one. They both got doubles. They had a bonus point before halftime. Just absolutely ran riot over the Zebre boys. So yes, if there's a chance or a time to kind of turn the season around before the knockout stages, this was it. So maybe that was a good game for them to have. The Lions I've got in 9th. Now, the Lions, of all the South African sides in the URC anyway, have actually looked kind of relatively decent of late, but they did lose to Leinster, but bloody hell, only just. This was the closest I came to actually watching a full game. I actually managed to get a broadcast of this game going for a little while before I kind of lost access to it. I won't elaborate on that. But yeah, 39-36. They had the winning of this game seemingly against obviously a much changed Leinster side. But yeah, man, Edwin van der Merwe's looked like a great acquisition since he's come along. Lombard got one. Nohamba's little pass out the back was proper magic. Nohamba's another one who's like had a bit of a renaissance since moving to Johannesburg. So yeah, 8-9 is their record, which is only one result off where the Bulls are at. So yeah, and in terms of more recent form, they've been the better of the two sides, but they couldn't quite get it done over Leinster. So good effort from the Lions. It's not all doom and gloom. Another South African side in 8th, we got the Sharks. Sharks got a win over Benetton, another one that was kind of much needed. The Sharks form this season at times has been pretty iffy. Seems like their scrum was getting a bit of a good platform, but it was like 14-all at half time, and they had to come back from a deficit. Did the Sharks boys, as I mentioned, Benetton had the early lead. Grant Williams just continues to show those absolute wheels of his, which is really bloody impressive. Mapimpi gets on the board, Kolisi gets on the board, so all you kind of big gun players, very, very pleasing to see. So yeah, another team that needed a win at this kind of time managed to get it. 7th is the Scarlets. Now, when you look at the Scarlets' overall record, it's not great reading, man. 6 wins, 10 losses, and a draw. But that's the kind of whole point of the power rankings, that the Scarlets' late season form has genuinely been pretty good. And they went to Glasgow, who've been in incredible form, and they only lost by 12 points to 9. So there was no scoring until like well after the half an hour mark. But sadly for the Scarlets boys, they conceded a couple of maul tries. So they were leading 9-5 at one point, but yeah, couldn't hold out the close range efforts from the Glasgow boys. So certainly a good shift, and it's another one where it's not all doom and gloom, because at the start of the season it was genuinely looking quite atrocious. But no, it's come pretty decent. Number 6, we got the Stormers. The Stormers, they lost at home to Munster. This is one in terms of the battle for second spot that they really would have liked back. I mean, I love the fact that Franz Malherbe got a try. That is like thing of beauty stuff. That kind of makes my day. They were 12-0 down. They came back to 12-all, but yeah, they essentially were chasing a late kind of consolation by the end of it. The game was done by the time the clock was in the red. They did manage to get that consolation, but a bit too little, too late. But at least they get a losing bonus point. So yeah, down 2 spots for them. The team that beat them, Munster, I got them up 1 spot. Away win over the Stormers. Try within the first minute. That's a great way to start the game. I mean, Daly got an absolute cracker of a try. So yeah, in a proper arm wrestle game at the business end of the season, where you want you guys to stand up on a tricky away trip to South Africa, the Munster boys show what they're about. And I guess similar to the Scarlets, but like they got their kind of turnaround season started early. Like both those teams had really bad starts to the season, but Munster's has certainly come right at the right time. So hopefully for them, they can be a proper threat at the business end of the season. Another Irish side in Connacht in 4th. Now they are on a hell of a run. They got a win over Cardiff, 38 points to 19. Pretty comfortable for them. I mean, Blade looks class. They had a 19-0 lead. Aki set up Mac Hansen, so your big guys kind of standing up. But yeah, good vocal crowd getting behind their boys. And yeah, man, they got a very much needed win. So they're another team that could, you know, throw a bit of a spanner in the works come the business end of the season as well. The Irish theme continues with Ulster. Ulster's another one. They're in the same spot as they were last week. So Connacht were up 1. Ulster's the same. They got a big win over the Dragons. Their maul is just really, really punishing, but they've also got some bloody slick hands throughout their team as well. It's not just about the maul. They've genuinely got weapons on both sides. You know, sometimes you get teams who can kind of only maul, and other teams, or at least just, you know, kind of one-off runners, tight kind of phase play. But Ulster's a balanced team which can do a bit of everything. So yeah, 40 points to 19 over the Dragons sees them also in the race for that kind of second spot on the log. But second, in terms of the recent form, man, Glasgow have been the business as well. They beat the Scarlets. They only just edged them. Like I mentioned, a couple of more tries. Vailano got 1, Brown got 1, and that was essentially the difference between the sides, because yeah, there was very little between the Scarlets and the Warriors in that game. I think it seemed to be pretty bad weather from what I could see in the highlights, but that wasn't that much. And then number 1, is obviously Leinster. They've still yet to drop a game. They've won 16 from 17 attempts with the one draw. They had to bloody pull it out to get a game. They went over the Lions with a last-minute penalty to get them done. 73-minute try through the fullback. They had yellow cards. Their Georgian tight head prop got a try. So yeah, man, 39-36. You got to admire that depth, man. It's pretty crazy in Leinster land. But yeah, with one round to go, I'm particularly looking at that second spot on the log. Ulster and the Stormers battle for second. Ulster's got Edinburgh at home. Stormers have got Benetton at home. So both sides will be looking to get maximum points and put themselves in the best position. But yeah, those are the power rankings, folks. I will endeavour to see some more of the URC. But as I said, finding the broadcast by whatever means necessary has not proved particularly fruitful thus far for me here. But anyway, back in New Zealand in a couple of weeks, so hopefully kind of regular service will resume. But yes, there you go. You guys let me know your thoughts on the power rankings. How do you back the teams going into the knockout stages? And yes, talk to you guys again soon. Together.